PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, Osiadem, Yopo.
As much as it is about the enduring and important direct relationship that the United States has with Ghana and with African nations. I will tell you that we are very clear, and I will speak for myself and on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration, that the relationship between the United States and this continent and African leaders is an important one. There's a historical basis for the relationship, not to mention as we look forward, as all governments should, and recognize the unachieved, as of yet, opportunities that exist going forward. The median age on the continent of Africa is 19. Think about what that means in terms of potential. Think about the fact that by 2050, 1 in 4 people occupying a place on Mother Earth will be on this continent, and what that means. The trip that I have taken to come here, being here, is about recognizing the incredible opportunity with a sense of optimism about what we do now and how it will impact the world going forward. So this trip and this relationship, yes, we are concerned with security. We are concerned with what is happening on the globe as a whole. We are clear-eyed about that. But this trip is motivated by the importance of the direct relationship between the United States and Ghana, and as I travel the continent, those countries as well.
Is it Mr. Daniels? Is that the name? No, there may be an obsession in America about Chinese activities on the continent, but there's no such obsession here. But China is one of the many countries with whom Ghana is engaged in the world. Your country is one of them. Virtually all the countries of the world are friends of Ghana, and we have relations in varying degrees of intensity with all of them. Our relationship with America is a relationship that has been forged over several decades, right from the time of independence up till now. Vice President Harris referred to the fact that Dr. King was here in 1957, forging the link between the civil rights movement in Africa and the African liberation struggle, which Ghana was a symbol of. So we've had a direct relationship in the 90s, and the millennium year. 3 successive American presidents visited us. In 1998, President Clinton was here. In 2008.
Anyone would deny that the globe is facing a climate crisis, and that is a fact. The last time I saw Mr. President, we were actually, the last time we were on the same continent was when you and I were both at the Munich Security Conference. And when I was on stage, a topic came up, at which point I raised exactly the point of your question, which is that there are certain nations that have been the biggest contributors to emissions, and there are other nations who have paid the biggest price. And that we, as global leaders, must recognize the disparity that exists there and address those disparities. So when I think about the United States' role to that end, part of the work that our administration has been doing is addressing what we must do as an imperative to reduce our global emissions. We, during our administration, the Biden-Harris administration, take great pride in accomplishing a significant step toward that end, where we have dedicated $370 billion to the climate crisis, with a great deal of that directed at what we can do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So that is an important step as we go forward. But it is critically important that as global leaders, we all speak truth about the disparities that exist in terms of cause and effect, and that we address those disparities. And part of my trip here is actually to also recognize the opportunities then that exist in this transition to what we call a clean energy economy, a green economy, and the opportunities that exist for American private interest and the American government to also share in Africa's leadership on this, in terms of helping to contribute the resources to what are very innovative practices that are occurring here on the continent. And let me be clear about where we stand. First of all, for the American press who are here, you know that a great deal of work in my career has been to address human rights issues, equality issues across the board, including as it relates to the LGBT community. And I feel very strongly about the importance of supporting the freedom and supporting and fighting for equality among all people, and that all people be treated equally. I will also say that this is an issue that we consider, and I consider, to be a human rights issue, and that will not change.
We don't have any such legislation here in Ghana. A bill has been proposed to the Parliament of Ghana, which has all kinds of ramifications, which is now being considered by the Parliament. It hasn't been passed, so the statement that there is legislation in Ghana to that effect is not accurate. No legislation. The bill is going through the Parliament. It's going through the Parliament. The Attorney General has found it necessary to speak to the committee about it regarding the constitutionality or otherwise of several of its provisions, and the Parliament is dealing with it. At the end of the process, I will come in. But in the meantime, the Parliament is dealing with it. And I have no doubt that the Parliament of Ghana will show, as it's done in the past, first of all, its sensitivity to human rights issues, as well as to the feelings of our population, and will come out with a responsible response to the proposed. The legislation was a legislation that is being provided as a private member's bill. This is not an official legislation of the government, but it is one that has been mooted by a handful of private members. So we will see what the final outcome of it. But my understanding from a recent discussion I had with the chairman of the committee, the substantial elements of the bill have already been modified as a result of the intervention of the Attorney General. We will see what the final outcome will be, and that is the stage at which I will also have the opportunity to provide. As far as the presence of Wagner is concerned, we're concerned about it. We made clear our concerns because, first of all, it raises the very real possibility, which is one that we need all of us on the region and the continent to be aware of, that once again our continent is going to become the playground for great power conflict. Because one group of people coming, whether they are an official or an unofficial group, all of us know the realities of what's going on. It's not very difficult for another group of people to say, there will come, and before you know it, the issues of concern to us, keeping our country and continent free of great power rivalry, will be a reality with us. So that's our major preoccupation. Yes, but in any event also, we want to be in a position to resolve our own security problems ourselves, as much as possible without the intervention of foreign troops. The presence of Al-Qaeda in Ghana, I don't know. Formally, we don't have any information to that effect. It may well be that there are cells, etc., already in the country, but those are matters that the security agencies are very much on top of. And we're hoping that there will be no Al-Qaeda presence in Ghana. That has to be the wish of anybody who is a friend of this country and who wishes the Ghanaian people well. Thank you. I've said this before, and let me in conclusion stress again that it will not be under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akuffo Addo that same-sex marriage will be legal. That same-sex marriage will be legalized in Ghana. It will never happen in my time as president. Let me repeat, it will never happen in my time as president.
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo